can an African country win the World Cup? And I think an African country can win the World Cup. But let me be specific when I say an African country, because there are two African countries who qualify for the World Cup that I do not include as being truly African. There's five African countries who qualify for the World Cup totally, and that's Senegal, Cameroon, Ghana, Morocco, and Tunisia. But I don't really include Morocco and Tunisia because those are like Arab countries, and those people are not, those are like really like invaders, But, when I say African country, can an African country win the World Cup? I'm mainly referring to the black African countries of Senegal, Cameroon, and Ghana. I'm rooting for those three African countries. And do you think an African nation can win the World Cup? Like, do you even like know a lot about soccer or anything?
I know a little bit. I'm starting to get into it more because I got a lot of foreign people that want to do podcasts and shit with me. So I'm learning, but definitely I would like to see Ghana, Cameroon, or Senegal win, you feel me? Because
me too, man. I wish Nigeria could be in this conversation,
yeah,
but
man.
we tweaked.
They
we tweaked. Yeah. But I think it's possible.
Okay, break that
an
down.
African.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah.
There's a delay.
Yeah. I think it's possible an African nation can win the World Cup. A lot of people would say I'm crazy because an African nation never won the World Cup before, but it's possible, because the African countries are getting better in soccer. Every couple of years, African countries get better and better. And there was an African tournament, that happened in January and February, and it's called the African Cup of Nations. And it's a tournament where the best African teams who qualify for the tournament play against each other. And a lot of your big African soccer superstars who play in the biggest leagues in Europe, a player, Sadio Mane, he's Senegalese. He's like a superstar in the Premier League. And Mohamed Salah, he's an Egyptian soccer player. He plays in Liverpool on the same team as Sadio Mane. And Mohamed Salah, he's supposed to be like the best player in the world. He's so-called the best player in the world right now. And a couple months ago in the African Cup of Nations, he was getting shut down. Like, he only scored one goal in the whole tournament. And a lot of the teams that he played against were like these smaller African countries. And he's supposed to be the best player in the world, and he was getting shut down by these smaller African countries. For like 10 games straight in the tournament, he only scored one goal. But when he played for his club team in England, he scores like 3 goals every game. But when he plays against the African teams, he don't be on shit. That tells you that African football is improving, because if the best players in the world, Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, they can play at a high level in England, but when they come in Africa, they have a much tougher time playing at that same high level they play in Europe. That's because African soccer is very competitive and it's improving, And I watch African soccer, and especially technically and tactically and defensively, African soccer is improving. And I remember you a couple of minutes ago, you were beginning to ask me something, and what was that?
No, you actually did what I was going to ask. I was asking you to break that down. Why do you think they're improving? Is it because of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're being trained by the brothers that go over to Europe and play? What is it? What do you think?
I mean, teams all around the world, actually, it's not only an African thing. Teams all around the world are improving. The game of soccer is like advancing. You know, it used to be like back in the days that the teams that were the best in the world were the South American teams like a Brazil, Argentina, or the European nations like a Germany, England.
Mm-hmm.
But now, after so many years, the whole world has been watching these South American and European teams play. Other countries around the world, other continents like Asia, Africa, even here in North America, they've watched South American countries and European countries play at a high level and are beginning to replicate that same level of skill.
Mm.
And all around the world, there's a lot of African players who play in these big European leagues like La Liga in Spain and
Mm-hmm.
the Premier League in England or Serie A in Italy. And a lot of these African players, man, they play in those advanced leagues, so they have some of the most skilled players in the world.
Mm.
So, like, there's a worldwide advancement in soccer, and this is like probably the first soccer tournament where the first World Cup where I can say, like, I do not know who's going to win this World Cup. Like, it's open season for this World Cup. Usually
Mm-hmm.
in the World Cup, most people would say the big name nations are going to win. Like I just named the South American teams like in Argentina, Brazil, or European teams like Germany, England will win.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, man, soccer has advanced around the whole world. It's like no, all continents are pretty much equal nowadays in soccer. It's like no continent is like extremely better than the other continent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's skilled soccer players from all across the world nowadays. It's not like 30 years ago where the best players were only in Europe or South America. Now it's like there's good ass players everywhere. So like I see the countries on this World Cup list on the screen. It's like it's open season. Anyone can win the World Cup this time around.
Okay.
And I think out of all the out of all the African countries, and you know what I said earlier, when I mean African countries, I mean Black African countries.
Yeah.
Out of Senegal, Ghana, and Cameroon, I think all those three countries can do well in the World Cup because I've seen all those countries play. They play at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my bet is going on Senegal.
Okay.
My number one bet to do well in the World Cup out of the Black African countries is Senegal, and that's for a couple of reasons. You know, I mentioned this player earlier, Sadio Mane. He's one of the best players in the world. Literally, he plays as the winger position. That's an offensive position in soccer, kind of like the striker, but not exactly like the striker. And Sadio Mane is one of the best players, regardless of his position in the world. And this is one of the first times this has happened. You know, there's always been great African players who play at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never been really a time where an African player who plays for his national African team is considered like a top 5 best player in the world. You know, there's been African players who have been like a top 5 best player in the world, but most of those African players will play for like European nations, like a France, you know, because, you know, like in soccer, there's a lot of like African players who are born and raised in Africa, but they move to Europe, they move to like France, and they don't end up playing for their home nation. They end up playing for like a European nation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of players who are like that. But this time around, there's an African player who plays for his home nation of Senegal, who is undoubtedly like a top 5 player in the world. And this is one of the first times we've seen this in the World Cup. We saw that in the last World Cup because Senegal played in the last World Cup, but they got robbed. They played well, but they got robbed against Colombia. They got robbed, like 2 goals. Colombia, people would expect Colombia to be better than Senegal because Colombia, they're a South American nation, right? South Americans, they're supposed to be one of the best in the world. They're supposed to be better than Africans at soccer. But last World Cup, Senegal dominated Colombia the whole game. Me and my dad watched the game together. And there was like 2 goals. I think it was like nearing the end of the match. There was like 2 situations where Senegal had an open goal, and right before they'll kick the open goal, the ref would like blow the whistle and give the ball to Colombia.
Wow.
And that caused Senegal not to be able to advance to the next round of the World Cup. And that happens every World Cup. Like, the officiating is very racist and biased against African nations. But, you know, I think African nations, they can prevail. You know, if an African nation theoretically plays at a high level, so much of a high level, they can bypass the bias. Like, you feel me? It's possible that an African nation can play at so much of a high level that even if the officiating is biased against them, they can still win, you know. And that's what Africa has to do.
There's a lot of wind in your mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you hear me right now?
Yeah, we hear you good. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you see on this list right now, Senegal, I'm not going to lie, their group stage match, you see Senegal in Group A. To me, Senegal has a sweet-ass group. They can top this group. They definitely can. Qatar, they're a small country. The only reason Qatar qualified for the World Cup is because they have an automatic qualification for the World Cup because the World Cup is going to be in Qatar. Qatar is not a good soccer nation. It's like most people don't even know about Qatar. Like, you feel me? You know, they probably don't suck. Qatar probably doesn't suck. Like I just said, like, soccer is improving all around the world, even in small nations who you typically don't think is good at soccer. Nowadays, they be decent, but they still not going to be able to hang, I don't think, with Senegal.
There's levels to it.
Yeah, it's still levels to it. You feel me? Ecuador, they're a quality team, but I think Senegal can beat Ecuador. Ecuador, they're like a B-level team. Like, they're a good team, but they're not like at that A-class level. Like, they're not a big name nation like a Spain or Germany or England. You know, but they're still a good team, but they're not on the level like a Brazil or Argentina. As far as typically, you know, they might come to World Cup, Ecuador, and show out. You don't know. But Ecuador, they're like a B-level team. Um, they're not the most tactical and technical. They're not the most skilled. They still have a decent level of skill. Out of a 10 scale, I don't even know too much about Ecuador's soccer, but I know Ecuador. I've watched South American nations play, and I know is Ecuador is not far away from Colombia, and I know I'm more familiar with Colombian soccer, and since like their close proximity to each other, I'm assuming Ecuador probably most likely plays a similar style of play to Colombia, right? And that's the same Colombia who Senegal like dominated last World Cup. And South America as a whole, low key, South American soccer they're regressing. They're not as good as they used to be, low key. So I think Senegal can dominate. Senegal, they're physical, they're fast. Like Africans, we play a different style of soccer from Europeans and South Americans. African soccer is more physically defensive. Like if you're a European nation and you play against an African team, you're going to struggle because African teams play real defense, like physical defense in your face, strong defense. They'll like bully you off the ball.
Okay.
And they're fast too. So Ecuador is really, and they're very skilled. Like, for example, they have one of the best players in the world, top 5 player in the world right now, Sadio Mane, right? So Senegal can beat Ecuador. Senegal can beat the Netherlands. The Netherlands, they're a good team. They're a European team, but yeah, can they handle that African style of play where the players are very skilled? Senegal players are very skilled. They're fast. They have that African physicality, and African players, they play the game a little differently from Europeans. And that African unorthodox style of play will give any European team a hard time. So it's very possible that Senegal can top Group A and advance to the second round of the World Cup. And in my head, if an African country can get to the next round, the second round of the World Cup, man, they could do whatever. You feel me? Like all the African nation needs is to get to that second round of the World Cup and gain the extreme amount of confidence. All the African nation need is confidence, and they can do anything in this World Cup. I'm telling you.
Okay. And
it's funny. I don't know if they do this on purpose. But if I'm not mistaken, like on the first matches of the World Cup, they put the African nations against like the hardest teams, and you already know they don't do that shit on accident.
Oh yeah,
they purposely put the African teams' first games. They put the black African teams against the hardest opponents.
Yep.
On purpose.
Yeah.
But that can backfire on them, low key, because what if the African teams beat these high level opponents for the first games, right?
Yep.
That's going to give them the ultimate amount of confidence throughout the rest of the tournament.
Exactly.
So it can backfire against them. But once I seen let me see Cameroon's group. Once I seen the schedule for the World Cup and for the first game in Group G is going to be Cameroon versus Brazil. Then I seen in Group H, the first game is going to be Ghana versus Portugal. Then I seen in Group A, the first game in Group A is going to be Senegal versus Netherlands. I'm like, oh, this is on purpose. They're putting all the black African teams for the first games against the hardest opponents in the groups. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, they're doing this on purpose. Because I know this because soccer is already a racist sport. So I already know what they be on.
Yeah, very racist.
They do that on purpose. They put in the African team. But low key, these African teams could bust any of these motherfuckers' asses, bro. I'm not saying this just to be cocky. I'm saying this because I watch African soccer and I know like our players are talented enough to beat anyone.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, Senegal had a friendly match against Brazil. They drew 1-1, and low key Senegal was dominating them. Brazil. This was back in like September, October 2019, and I watched the game, and Senegal was giving Brazil some go. Like this is a new era of soccer. Like a lot of these teams, these big name nations, they're still good, but they're not as good or as better at better than everybody else, like how they used to be, better than everybody else, you know?
Yeah, they're catching up. Yeah.
Yeah. They're catching up.
I be seeing them brothers, they be going in on the field, man. They be going in. So
Africa's defense has improved a lot. It used to be like a weakness in African soccer would be like they'll leave a lot of holes, a lot of gaps in their defense. Now, like African defense is more skilled, more technical and tactical. They're more compact. Man, African defense is no joke. It's like they're physical. They don't play defense like Europeans. Like a lot of Europeans, they play like soft defense, but African players, they play the type of defense that can make you damn near pass out. Like they be like stronger, physical, all up in your face. They'll barely allow you to move, run with the ball.
Hey, that's that God force coming through on the field.
Yeah. And what do you think if an African nation won the World Cup, like how do you think that would go down? And how do you think, what effect would that have on the world?
Well, for the African, we can start with the different African peoples. It would definitely instill a sense of confidence, like you said, like, man, we got this World Cup. It might not have been my specific country, but it's a Black African.
Yeah, man, I wish could be Nigeria, man, but shit.
I feel you. But yeah, they like, yo, hey, we got this cup. We can do anything, man. It's going to inspire a lot of young kids to do better and to be better, to strive. Yeah, go outside of sports too, you know.
Yeah, it would be way bigger than soccer. It would transcend Black people around the world.
Break that down.
Like because it's symbolic because soccer is historically soccer is a sport that's been dominated by the white man. You know, most of the winners of the World Cup are European countries. You know, soccer originated in Europe. I think soccer originated in England, to be exact. And all the biggest leagues in soccer are European leagues like La Liga of Spain, the Premier League of England, Serie A of Italy. You know, so soccer is really a European sport. And if an African nation wins the World Cup, that's symbolic of the Black man uprising in a white-dominated sphere, you know?
Okay.
And it's the same dynamic in sports and soccer that the Black man experiences in everyday life, especially in the Western Hemisphere, right? We live in a society that's dominated by white men, right? And we strive to someday to rise up in this society, right?
Oh, so yeah, my bad. I stepped away.
Yeah, that's the same thing that goes with soccer, right? In this regular everyday society in the Western Hemisphere, you know, people have been saying for years, you know, especially in the United States, when is the Black man finally gonna get his shit together and uprise from the white man, you know? Well, it's the same thing goes in soccer, right? People always say in soccer, an African country can never win the World Cup. Africans are not good enough to win the World Cup. We're not skilled enough. We're not tactical enough. Well, what if these African players, you know, say fuck that and win that motherfucker?
Yeah, it might change the game for a lot of mentality. Yeah. And then you can look at what it's going to do for the white people. They're going to be pissed off, boy.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of them would be happy, low key,
Oh, break it down. Break it down.
because it's like, how can you hate on it? I mean, some people will hate on it, but at the end of the day, it's like no one expects the African country to win a World Cup. So even if you hate on it, part of you have to still has to respect it. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And this will transcend to regular society. And if a black African nation wins the World Cup, like an analogy, like I just said, like people say African nations are not good enough to win the World Cup. Our players are not skilled enough, tactical enough. People say that about the black man, basically, in the Western Hemisphere. Like, we're not smart enough. We're not this enough. We don't carry ourselves well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so it goes hand in hand, if you see my analogy,
I got you. No, it definitely might change a few minds when it comes to, how people view themselves. You feel me?
Yeah, it would. That's why I wanted Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup, because Nigeria would have been the best country to win the World Cup, And I'm saying that because Nigeria is the biggest black country in the world, and Nigeria is like I just said, they're the most populous country in Africa. That they have the biggest cultural influence in Africa, and some of your most talented African people, a lot of them come from Nigeria, and Nigeria has a deep history. A large proportion of the slaves originally came from Nigeria. And like Nigeria, they're the biggest African country, and it would have been, out of all the African nations, it would have been the biggest news and the most effective if the biggest black country in the world won the World Cup of Nigeria, But Nigeria did not qualify for the World Cup, so let's just see how these other African nations do,
Mm-hmm. Hey, they might win it next time.
Yeah.
So even if the African nations don't win this time, maybe Nigeria could try again and actually take home the bait. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Shall see.
Ghana has a friendly match coming up against America. Yeah, I don't know the exact date, but I know they have a friendly match coming up, and that's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm American, right? I'm supposed to be rooting for America, but fuck that.
No, I'll never root for America.
Because America is not symbolic of the black man. This is a white man's country, so I don't give no fuck. I'm not rooting for the United States in the World Cup. I'm rooting for African countries.
America's did me
yeah.
It did us dirty too much.
If an African country runs up against the United States in the World Cup, I'm rooting for the African country. Fuck. I don't give no fuck. Okay, I was born and raised in the United States, but I don't care. Shit, this is not my country. This is a white man's country, so shit.
I feel you. Yeah, bro. What we gonna see? We definitely gonna see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I hope they do win.
It's gonna take place in December, which is unusual because most World Cups happen in the summer, but yeah.
It could be all the political turmoil going on globally.
Oh yeah, I forgot the exact reason, but I'm pretty sure it's like COVID related. Okay. They like fucked up the schedule, something like that.
Yeah, the soccer ball got COVID in it. You feel me? They got to clean. It's just crazy. But yeah, my man. I'm going to have to bounce up out of here. I got to go back to work real quick. But
all right, man.
This was definitely an excellent conversation. I agree with you. I think it's going to inspire some people globally. You feel me? They're like, oh, I can do this, this, and that. You feel me? Especially
it's just going to uprise black people. If an African nation wins the World Cup, like it proves to black people that we could dominate in a white-dominated sphere. We can be better than a white man in something. And that's just gonna give us confidence.
Yeah, you need that for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, no doubt, brother. We definitely gonna do this again, man. I'm gonna repost this on my channel when you drop it.
All right, man.
You definitely hit the link. Send me the link through the text or the back chat to your channel.
All right, I got you.
All right, bet it up. Go Africa. FIFA 2020, baby.
Yeah, root for the African countries in this World Cup. And I'm not talking about the Arab countries, Morocco and Tunisia. I'm talking about Ghana, Senegal, and Cameroon. Root for the black man. All right, peace.
Peace.